Hey guys, it's Tark with Cyclone FPV, and we are going to do a special, repair or work today. It's going to be for a QX7S. Sorry, I'm just getting everything lined up, and a couple modules and some receivers. And this is all FrSky related, and I keep getting a million of these questions, and I figured now's a good time to do it. So let's knock it out, shall we? Here's what we're working on today. We're going to be doing the QX7S right here. All right, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be getting these two modules, which this one would not be necessary anymore. It would be this one, really. This one could be put aside. You also would need the XJT module because you're running the ACCST already in here as it is, and the ACCST version of the QX7S will run the D8 and D16, and it will also run the the R9M 2019 for access. Okay, so we're gonna get started and do all. We're gonna do the software updates. Let me straighten out this camera. We're gonna do software updates. I've got the computer standing by, and hopefully this will take the place of quite a few of the other videos that I have out there already, since this is kind of covering the same thing. The only thing I need to do right now is grab the USB. I got that right here. Did I put in a new USB? Is there a memory stick? Excellent. This guy's got a memory stick. Everything's golden. So what I need to do is just get a little extension cable if possible, because these cables are very short for whatever reason unknown to me. And I need to get the AC kicked up here a little bit because it is too warm. Bear with me a second, please. Where did he put this on automatic? I got a little remote here, and I need to just set this thing to automatic, I guess. Fan. Well, I guess it's set to automatic. Let's see what happens. Okay, I'm coming back there, though. Just give me a second. I'm just trying to find an extension cable, and then I will come and finish this video. I just need to find an extension cable. Well, if not, let me see how close I am to this. Bear with me 1 second. It's going to be kind of close. Let me make sure. Okay. Oh, we might be okay. I'll try to keep that on the screen. If not, like I said, I'll get an extension cable. I just got to find out. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this on and see what the customer is dealing with right now, because apparently something's not working right. He does not have. Let's see. His SD card has an error. Let me see how many models. He doesn't even have very many models in here. All right. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is let's go ahead and check his version here. He's got the old. Let me just kind of. Okay, he's running 2.2.4. Oh wow. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do some major updates here. Let's see. Let's go ahead and turn it off. And you guys will just, just follow along. I mean, pick up whichever part. Okay, so we're running firmware 2.2.4. Bootloader is 2.2.2. So we're not even matching on that side yet. So we're going to go ahead and knock this out. So first thing we're going to do is let's head on over and we're going to go and assume that you guys have already done your OpenTX. So if not, I'll put a link here on how you can get to that. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and open our OpenTX here on the computer. And let's keep it like this. All right, so this is 2.3.7. We should have 2.3.9. I believe I have it on one of these. So let me just see which order I have these in. Let me close this one down. This is 2.3.7. Okay, so this is going to go like this. This is 2.3.9 right here. This is the newest one. If you go to open-tx.org, you'll get that, and you'll find a video on how to do all that. But what we want to do right now is we want to go ahead and make sure that we have our paths right. So let me just go ahead and head on over to our settings, and let's go to our radio profile, and we're going to do a QX7. Let's see, customer. I think maybe I'll just do a new one. So let's just do add a radio profile, and we're going to call it a customer space QX7S ACCST. Okay. And for that one, we're going to go ahead and do no heli. We'll do our flex firmware. We'll do Lewis scripts. And I'm not worried about the rest of them. Okay. So let's go ahead and select a folder. And to do that, we have on our, I believe it's our desktop. Let me see. Transmitters. All right, so we're going to make a new folder here called customer Qx7S ACCST. Okay. And in there, we're going to have a folder called SD card. Okay. All right, there we go. Now, that's going to be our folder for that. And that should fill out here in just a second. There it goes. And then our backup folder. I guess we can just leave it as backup for right now. Let me go back to this next page here, because there's another option for, yeah, so our backup folder here will be our folder that we just created. So we go to desktop, transmitters, customer QX7S ACCST, and we're just going to make a folder in here called backup. Okay, there we go. We'll select that folder, and that's fine. I'm not worried about that one. Okay, okay. Okay. And then we want to do, okay, all right. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now that we are in this, and, oh wait, I need to go back to my settings, radio profile, and I need to go to the settings on it and make sure I select the right radio, which is going to be the QX7 X7S ACCST, which is this one. Okay, now let's make sure everything's right. It is. Click OK. All right, let's go ahead and click the download button up here, and let's check for our updates, and yes, we're gonna go ahead and download it because we haven't yet, and we're gonna put that in our folder, transmitters, QX7 ACCST, and we're gonna go to our desktop. Actually, I'll go here. I'll just make a new folder here. And I'm going to call this one Open TX-firmware. Okay, and we're going to put it right in here. But we're going to delete all this other crap. I don't need any of this. I just want this. Okay, so let's save that. And it's going to download that firmware. And we're not writing it right now because the radio is not plugged in. And we're going to download the SD card contents. All right, and that's going to be right here. So that's going to be downloading into our downloads folder. So while that's going on, I guess what I can do is I'm just going to go ahead now, and I am going to, let me see, best way to do this. I'm going to go ahead and let me go ahead and turn this on the way you guys, so you guys can see it. Okay, look. So I'm buzzing through this part because I've done this. I've got 100 videos with this right now, but anyways, just to get this into so that you can do it in the OpenTX software, hold your two sliders in the center, press your button, and let it go. You're going to get to this screen right here, then go ahead and plug in your USB. Okay, pretty simple. Now we're downloading. Oh, our SD card's already done, so let's go look at our folder of SD cards. The contents for that, which is going to be in our download, so we're going to cut that, and we're going to go to our desktop. Hey, wait a minute, where'd it go? Desktop. And then we're going to go to our transmitters, and then we're going to go to our QX7 ACCST, and we're going to drop that right here and paste it. Okay. Then we're going to extract it, and we're going to let that go. All right. And while that's going on, let me see. Here's our OpenTX. Here's our radio. So we've already downloaded the firmware, right? So we've already got it downloaded, and we've already saved it here. That was the update. Okay. So now what we want to do is we're just going to click OK, and we're going to go to the right firmware to radio, and we're going to find it from our ACCST, that's it, right there, and we're going to click write to TX. Now that's going to write to our transmitter. Okay. Perfect. Done. Now I'm going to show you the errors that you can expect to get at this point. Okay. So you're going to go to USB and just eject everything. Okay. It's going to tell you it's safe to remove it. All right, so it's safe to remove both. So now we can pull this out. Now watch what's going to happen. Okay. We have an EEPROM warning. Okay. It's going to say press any key to continue. So it's going to convert your EEPROM over. Switch warning. And then it's going to tell you have an SD card warning. Well, that's what we're getting ready to set up right now. Let's press any key. Okay. Now, the only thing that you have to realize here, and what I want you to realize, is this. Look at this. Ready? Watch. Okay, so we have 2.3.9 now, but we're still writing 2.2.2 bootloader. We need to fix that to get them to match. So here's what we're going to do. This is the old school way of doing it, and this is how you fix your radio if you try to turn it on and nothing happens. You get like a faint light here or a green light or whatever, but you notice nothing's happening. So let's turn this off, okay? You plug in your radio, just like normal, plug in the USB, go back to your OpenTX, and just click on Write Firmware to Radio. Write the exact same firmware you just wrote, and it's going to find your radio, and this time it's writing it in DFU, and it's going to write the bootloader, all right? Now this is the way to fix your radio if you can't turn it on, okay? If it's bricked or if there's a problem with the bootloader firmware. So please just remember this step. Instead of holding the sliders in and powering it up and going into the other mode, you're just going to plug it into the USB and do your firmware update. It's writing now to the bootloader, and from doing that, it's going to go ahead and be able to turn back on. And for the rest of you who had the wrong versions, this will actually get the versions to match. You'll see in just a second. Now, while that's happening, I'm going to go look at my SD card contents. Here they are. And the one thing, remember, we're going to always remove is all the languages, because they make up 90% of the space that this takes. And we don't need all the languages. We just need the language that we like to listen to. And in this case, it's going to be English. So let me go ahead and remove that. Okay. All right. So I realized that I didn't change the screen. So hold on one second. That just screwed everything up, didn't it? Okay. So let me just show you what I just did. All right. So let me put the computer screen back up, and I'll show you exactly what I did. I didn't realize I hadn't switched the screen yet. First, I'm going to close my internet, and I'm going to go ahead and put these two files back. I'm going to put all these back. Okay, so let me do a restore. Okay, it'll take it a second because there's a lot of files. Okay, so when you are done extracting your SD card contents, right, you're going to have this folder here. Okay, and one other thing, the other thing I was doing was I was showing you that when you in order to get your bootloader to load, the easiest way to do your bootloader firmware, if you don't want to run from the SD card, or if your transmitter won't turn on, you just take your USB, don't hold the sliders in or do anything else, just take it and plug it in, okay, and then come to your OpenTX and click this Write Firmware. Make sure you got the right firmware, and you're going to see it looks different now. Now you're going to see this screen. This is writing to the bootloader, okay? That's the one thing I forgot to change the screen on to show you guys, okay? So while that's going on, this is writing the firmware. We're going to go and look at our, we're going to go ahead and look at our firmware folder, our SD card downloads. And what I was saying here was go into your sounds, right? Because I've shown you guys this before. If you highlight all these and click properties, you have like 138 megs right there, okay? But it's all in sounds. So if you just delete all the sounds or languages basically you don't need, you don't have to sit there and worry about copying those all to your memory card. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and delete these. Okay, and once those go, those are going to go to the recycle bin, so I'm just going to go ahead and empty that real quick. Yep. Okay, and now if you look at the contents, okay, and I go to properties, it's like 16, right? Yeah, 16.2. So it's pretty substantial how much you get to save. All right, now we want to take all this information here, and we're going to right click and click cut. We're going to go up one and go to our SD card folder, and we're going to right click and click paste. And you need to make sure that all the files, including this file right here, get put in here, okay? So now this is what's going to be in our SD card when we transfer it over. The other thing that you want to do, is, at least what I do, is I set up my folders in here. So I'm going to go folder, and I'm going to go, let's see, we're going to do FrSky TX, FrSky TX dash, or no, FrSky firmware dash TX. I guess that's right. We'll make another folder. I'm just trying to organize. New folder, FrSky firmware dash RX. Okay, and then new folder, and then we're going to do OpenTX dash firmware. Okay. I think actually I used to do this different. I think this was FrSky TX dash FW. I think this is what it was, TX FW, because I think they always ended in FW. Again, this is just me. If it's not the same, I'm going to go nuts. Let's see. Yeah, we've got to have R lowercase. Okay. So now these are our folders inside our firmware. So now I did do an OpenTX firmware here, so I'm going to go ahead and take this. I'm going to cut it. I'll go back up, go to my SD card, go to my firmware folder, go to my OpenTX folder. I'm just going to drop it in there. From now on, it's going to stay there. Okay. Now, now that we have the firmware done, we want to see what we've got on this drive already. So let me go see what's on the rest of this drive. Is anything on the rest of this drive? Okay. Let me go this PC. Okay, okay. All right. So now that that's done, right, I'm going to close this. And I can still access my folder here. So my desktop, my transmitters, right? And there's my QX7S ACCST, all right? So I'm going to delete. This SD card contents is now empty because we cut everything out, and this is empty as well. So let's delete both of those. Now, okay, so now that we got this done, let's go ahead and go back to our OpenTX. We can close that. All right, now we're going to go back and get this radio back in normal mode. Okay, so here we go. Now look, you see? Let me see if I can show you that. See that bootloader now? Bootloader is 2.3.9. Firmware is 2.3.9. So the only thing left to do is get our SD card caught up, okay? We'll plug this in. There we go. And I'm going to wait for this. These screens are going to start popping up. It means it's reading the memory stick that's in the memory card that's in here. All right. So he's got a folder called models. That's not going to work. And that could be what the biggest problem is. Okay, so we've got this one. That's fine. But then we've got this this one, which makes no sense. Can't really use that. So let's see. He's got 2020. All right, tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to format this drive if I can. Sometimes you can format it, sometimes you can't, but let me just see. Let's take that out. Put that in here. There it is. We're going to format it this time. We're going to format it and it's going to go because it's not in the radio. So this should go pretty quickly. There it goes. Okay, perfect. Now I'm going to eject the disk. Right click and left click on eject. Take it out. There we go. We'll put this back in the radio. Okay, now I want to take my models, right? So I want to read my models and stuff here. So I'm going to read the models that are on the radio now. Okay. It'll take it a second, but it'll get there. There it goes. Okay, so we're going to get our models here. I'm just going to move these around. This is like crazy. He's got so many of them all over the place. Well, he's got model 10, so let me just, let's delete that. I'll put this back to 10. Let me delete this one. Actually, all of these are crazy. Let me just close this. I'll click now, I'm gonna close this. I want to discard, and I'm gonna read it one more time. Okay, so I guess what I'm gonna do here is I am going to save these models and we're going to go back to our folder, not OneDrive, but our desktop, and then we're going to go to our transmitters, and then we're going to go to Qx7 ACCST, SD card, and we're going to go to models. We're going to back up models, and it's going to be 082220-models. Click save. All right. Now, this little button here is going to synchronize our memory stick, right? So we're going to go ahead and click that. It's going to say, okay, it's going to read from the SD card file there, and it's going to use what folder to write on. And we're going to use the USB drive that's right here. Select folder, start. And it's going to start now synchronizing the folders here, so we're going to give it just a second because that's going to take a minute. And guys, look, I know this is kind of going quick, but this was a customer repair, basically an RMA, and not a tutorial. I'm putting on here if you guys want to, but there's plenty of videos I've got on doing this exact stuff. If you do have a question about it, let me know. But for the most part, Should be pretty simple here. If you want to find the other videos I've done, I'll put a link for that as well. And the next thing we got to do is do the R9M 2019 here, and then see if we can get it to bind here. Okay, so good luck to all of us. I will get this ready to go so we can bind. There we go. I'm a little confused as far as why he's got the modules like he does, because these modules are not made for this, but hey, we're going to try to, oh, he's got me some long range right here actually, so we can at least start binding these. Let's see if we can. There we go. So we'll take the L9R and the, all right, this is the standard R9 stab right here, and we should be good to go. But we got to do firmware. These are going to be a little bit more of a pain in the butt. All right, so we've done our backup here. So if I do a quick one now, it's going to go quickly. No more files to copy, and everything's been transferred over, so our models will be there. So now we've got our SD card. So now watch what happens when I turn this off, okay? So I'm going to disconnect it real quick. And you remember all the errors that we were getting, which was wrong bootloader, wrong EEPROM, blah, blah, blah. So now we're going to pull the thing here. We're going to go to exit.
Welcome to OpenTM.
First we have our audio now, so that's working again. And we have no error messages. Our voiceover is working, our SD card is right, and our EEPROM is set. And if you go and look at everything now, it's all updated. Okay, so with that said, the next thing we have to do is we now have to get, the R9M 2019, which is the Access Edition. And we need to make sure we can bind to each one of these. Okay, so we're going to go through that together because I haven't downloaded some of this software. So this is for the customer to watch, so I want him to be able to see everything that we're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this in. Okay, and apparently the model he's using is going to be for the long range anyway. So we're going to use this Model 5 as the long range. Now I need to go online and I need to check out what firmware we've got. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put the computer back on. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we've done our updates here, so now we're just going to create a model so that we can, let me move this, make some room here, so that we can test this RXSR and make sure that we're able to bind without any problems, okay? So we're going to go to create a model, and we're just going to, at this point I guess we could cut up multi, but I'm just going to exit out of here. I don't really care how it's set up, I just want to get it to this point, so I'm going to go now, and I'm going to hit page. And actually, yeah, I'm going to hit page. I'm going to rename this. Let me go to, I'm just going to call it RXSR test. Okay, so RXSR. And then I'll just, I guess I'll put a space. T. You don't have to do this. I just do this to be specific because I know the customer, when he wants to see it, I want him to understand which model did what, and that way he can go straight to it, okay? RXSR test, there we go, okay? And then what we want to do is we want to go to internal functions. So we're going to scroll up, go to internal, and we're going to turn those on to XJT D16. And because, here's a rule here that I use is, because this is model 2, I'm going to make this to bind to receiver 2. All right, so let me get out of that, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to change this receiver number to number 2. I'm going to click bind, but first I have to put this in bind mode. So I'm going to turn the power off, grab something that I can press this bind button with, because my sausage fingers are too big to press that button. Oh, and that's my, I can hear somebody's awake playing with the dogs. Hold on a second. There we go, we're going to press that, turn this on. And you can see now you have a red and a green light. Okay, this means we're in bind mode. So I'm just going to hit bind here and hit enter and watch. I'm going to turn telemetry on, 16 channel. See how the red's blinking now? That means we're bound. So I'm going to hit enter again here. Then I'm going to exit, go back to our main menu. Okay, and then I'm going to turn the receiver off. And then I'm going to turn it back on. Now we are going to see our There's our RSSI.
Telemetry lost.
Give it a second, it'll come right back. We're too close actually.
Telemetry
Some
recovered.
of these can happen just because you're sitting too close. So we need to spread these about 3 feet apart usually, but this I can't do that and keep them both on camera. But if you move it farther away, you will not have that. You shouldn't have that issue with telemetry lost. But you can see here you have your RSSI, okay? And you can see here that you have a green light and you have your blue light, meaning that you're everything's set and you are in S-Bus mode. If you wanted to get out of S-Bus mode and you wanted to run CPPM, this is the biggest thing I see. There's 2 things that I get calls on about the RXSR, and both of these are my go-to immediately. Number one, everybody thinks that the yellow wire is your S-Bus wire, and it's not, okay? In fact, that's only for S-Port and for telemetry, all right? So the RXSR has an option to go to CPPM mode, and what you would do to do that is you would just basically hold the, I have to try to push this here, hold your fail-safe button for like a 5 count. Let me try to, gotta get in there. And then, I thought I had, there he goes. 4, 5. When you let go, you're gonna see that blue wire blink. The receiver's gonna restart. And now you're in CPPM, which means the S-Bus won't work. Okay, now your S-Bus cable is your green cable. So when you plug your green cable in to your S-Bus, and people don't have that blue light on, they're like, well, it doesn't work. Well, that's why. So then you have to go back and hold it for a 5 count. Okay, and then let go. It'll reboot again, and this time it's going to start back up and with S-Bus, and you've got everything back, and your telemetry's back on your radio. Okay, so just make note of that. I wouldn't get rid of these wires, but you definitely don't. The yellow one you could hook up to any of your TX on your any available UART. That you can do TX and you can get your telemetry and then feed it back down to the radio. Okay, we'll do a video on that. I've already done a couple, but we'll do that. The green one is the one you want to use, and then the white one you don't even need to worry about right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and we now know that the RXSR works, so we're gonna wrap this up, and this can go back to the customer now. Okay, that is a successful setup and update on this one. All right, so let me put this away. Just put it in a little bag here. Okay, guys. Now, excuse me. Been kind of messing around with the radio here, trying to do a few things. As you can see, I brought out another module because I want to do some testing here, which is a little outside the scope of what was asked to do. But I feel like now that I've got the opportunity, I might as well go ahead and play with it a little bit. So here's what we're going to do. First thing we're going to do is we're going to delete this model. So let me just go up to the one that I created because I'm getting ready to do the L9R setup, but I want to delete this first. Okay, so now we're going to do is we're going to do the L9R, and for that we're going to be using the Toolkit RC, so I can get a readout and also power this up. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click here and create a model for model number 3 on the radio. I'm going to exit at this point because I don't care about that, but I'm going to go in here now and hit page, and I'm going to title this L9R. So let me go L9R. Whoops. Gosh, messed that up. I'll come back and fix it, but let me go T E S T. Okay, let me go back and. Okay, so it's our L9R test. Now, the thing about the L9R is it runs off of the LR12 protocol, right? Which is actually built in on the ACCST radios. It's actually built into the internal module. Okay, so all you have to do here is you don't use it built into the internal RF. You do not use an external for it. You don't need to. Okay, so what you're going to do here, because you're running an ACCST and not an access radio, what you're going to do here is you're just basically. This is about to restart. Okay, so you're basically just going to. Let me go back to my model. You're going to scroll up to internal. I think I just missed it. Hold on. Let me go to internal. Okay, external will stay off. Internal we're going to turn on, and we're going to go to XJT. And then we're going to go over where it says D16, and we're going to change that to LR12. Okay, now since this is model 3, I'm going to select RX number 3. I'm going to get ready to bind this. So to bind it, we're going to plug in the wires like we see on this diagram here. I'll see if I can zoom in real quickly for the diagram. So on the diagram, you're going to see this area right here, and it says S-Bus, and it's got, I'll try to point here, it's got a signal image, it's got a positive image, and then it's got a ground. That piece is referring to this bottom row, to this bottom row of pins right here, okay? So I'm gonna plug that in accordingly. Let me zoom out now because I can't ever stay on screen if I'm zoomed in. Let me zoom out, there we go. So I'm gonna plug this in according to the label so we know the signal is all the way to the left. It's gonna be our yellow. Our positive is in the middle. And our ground is all the way to the right. Now, on the other side, I've used the Toolkit RC-M8. I've got a signal input here. So when I power this up, to get this into bind mode, all I need to do is hold down the fail-safe button while I turn it on. And we're gonna end up with a solid green and yellow light up here. And I'm ready to bind, so now I'm just gonna go ahead and hit my bind button. And you're gonna see the blinking lights here, okay? Now that I'm done, all right, I'm gonna exit out. I'm gonna turn off both units, all right? And then I'm gonna turn it back on.
Welcome to OpenTF.
You're gonna see a bind here. There we go, okay? We're gonna get a solid light here in just a second. I believe we will. We should have bound, I think. Let me see, let me make sure. Let me turn this off and turn it back on real quick. Maybe I turned it off too early before it bound. Let me just check. Oh no, it's solid now, it just took it a second. Let me make sure. Oh, I just turned it off. Let's see, it should go into solid here. No, maybe I didn't bind it properly. Let me try that again. So, no, it is. It just takes a second for it to log on. Okay, so we're bound now. So to measure, to make sure that we're bound, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to our measure option on our Toolkit RC. And I've got to make sure that these are kind of distanced away. That's the problem, is when you have the antennas too close, it's gonna start tripping out the signal, and it's gonna start showing that it's lost and it's bound, and there's an issue between the two antennas being too close. So we'll just better this much. It should actually be about 3 to 6 feet, but for right now we can get away with it. So just to test to see, we're gonna go to our measurement. We're gonna scroll down to S-Bus. And then what you can do is if you move the sticks now, you can see that we're connected, okay? So now we know that our L9R is connected using the internal module on there. So that's done. So the L9R is finished, okay? So now I'm gonna go ahead and we've got another model to do. So I'm gonna end this video here real quickly. And I'm gonna come back and do the third model. Let me just get set up for it. Okay, guys. Now we're gonna do our third receiver, and this one's actually gonna be, it's probably gonna take the longest time. All right, now I'll explain to you why. I'm gonna run a test here just to show you guys, because I had a lot of questions on this. I'm gonna run a test on what happens when you use an access receiver, or sorry, module, and a standard R9M module that did, so this is the R9M 2019 with access. This is the standard R9M with the ACCST, okay? So this one belongs to the customer, and we're gonna get started with this one first. So the first thing I'm gonna do, and we're gonna run the R9 stability receiver, okay? So this is a cool one because this is the one that will actually do self-stabilization. And so to do that, I'm gonna go ahead and set up a model here. So I'm gonna select model 4. I'm gonna create the model, and then I'm just gonna exit out. And then I'm gonna go in and name it. So let me do R9, do a space, and we'll just call it STABS. And this module is gonna, this video is gonna take a little bit of time because I'm gonna do a few things just to walk through the process, okay? So of going all the way around. I'm gonna address all sides of it. Let me turn the AC down here just a little bit though. All right, here we go. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna attempt to do this using the access protocol, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna turn my radio off. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and plug in this is my access receiver, okay? And I'm going to power it on.
Welcome to OpenTF.
All right, now I'm gonna go and hold my menu button down, and I'm gonna go to my firmware, and I'm gonna make sure that my 2019 receiver has access and not ACCST loaded. It will do both, okay? So here goes, I'm gonna hit that, whoops. I'm gonna click it, and then I'm gonna click it again, and I'm gonna tell it to go ahead and load. I'll just load the FCC version, it doesn't really matter right now. So I'm gonna flash the external module to make sure I have access loaded, okay? Then we're gonna get the firmware, and I'm gonna actually download this now. So I'm gonna download both the ACCST and the access firmware for the R9 stability module, or receiver, all right? So let me do that. So let me go ahead and download that as well. a lot of files being downloaded, so bear with me a second. Okay, so we have stability. Let me make sure. I know you guys can't see this. I want y'all to just watch this part for now, and I will do the other part here for you guys in just a second. You can watch it. So we have the stability ACCST version already downloaded. And now we need the, let me make sure it's right. Okay, that's 2, okay? And then we need the access version. So let me open that one. How's our radio doing? Okay, our radio's still going. Now I'm going to download R9 stability with access. There it is. So let me copy that. Let me extract that. And like I said, I know you guys can't see that, but don't worry. It's you'll see it in the screen here in just a second. I'm just getting it set up to copy over to my radio. Okay, so our flash is done here, so we know we just did the 2019 access update. Now, I've got to plug in my radio, and I'll show you guys here what we're doing. So here's what we're doing. Okay, so I've got the computer set up. I'm just going to plug in my radio just like this and go into storage mode. Okay, so the drive is going to pop up, and then I'm going to copy this over. This is the access and the ACCST. Now, I believe I have the ACCST already loaded on the memory card, but I need to verify that I don't think I have access loaded on there. So I'm going to wait for it to pop up here real quickly, and it'll take just a second. There it is. Okay, so here's my card on my on the radio. So we're going to go to our firmware, and then we're going to go to our RX. Okay, so I had the ACCST, but I did not have the access version, so I'm going to paste that there. Okay, now we can run both, right? So now let's go back to the radio. I'm going to disconnect. So let me just safely remove. Where'd it go? Safely remove. Okay, there we go. Now let's just go back to the radio and see what happens. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to load access on here. I want to make sure I have the right firmware, okay? Now, I don't know if there was a sticker on here when it first got shipped out, but it's gone. But what you can't see is that there is a list here, and it's, I wish I could show this to you. It's really hard to see it, but it's on this row, it's telling you that the buttons or the pins are ground, positive, S bus. On this row, it's telling you the pins are ground, positive, S port. So I want to use the ground, positive, S port right now so I can firmware flash, okay? So I usually have a regular piece here to plug in, but I don't have it right now. So let me just make sure I get this set up properly. I got to plug my pins in here, and let me go ahead and get everything else set up as well. So bear with me 1 second. Actually, I'm going to grab the cable. I'll be right there. Okay, so on the QX7, sorry guys, I wanted to have these because I want you guys to see what we're using. Okay, so here's the Qx7 Update Cable. You can get these from our website, okay? Very simple, very easy. So anyways, you're going to plug it in with your ground in the center, or going to the inside, all right, and your S port on the outside. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, actually, I can't use this one because this has pins. So I'm going to set it up using these. That's what I wanted to do. So I'm going to set it up to match those. So we got ground is on the positive in the middle, okay, and then we're going to put our ground on the inside there, all right, and we're going to plug it in accordingly to what this shows. Now, if you tilt this receiver a little bit, you can see, I guess when the light hits it, kind of, I'll try to do that so you guys can see it too. Right there, somewhere right there, you'll be able to read this, but basically what it's saying is it's saying ground goes on the left, positive goes in the middle, and your S port goes on the inside there, okay? So what we want to do now is we're going to hold our menu button down, press page, go to our firmware, go to the folder I created, RX firmware, and we're going to make sure we put access on here, okay? And we're going to tell it we want FCC loaded. So I'm going to hold that down. And then I'm going to tell it I want to flash the S port. All right, now let's see if we can get in. There we go. So you can see the light blinking. Not updating, so let me make sure I've got this in the right order. I believe I do, but let me just check. Unless I've got these two reversed. This could be me. Hold on one second. Let me just verify. I may have put these backwards. I've been known to do it every once in a while. There we go. Yeah, so sorry, it's ground on the outside. I apologize. It should actually match the pins here. Sometimes, hey, get it wrong. All right, so when you do, if you do get a cable like this, I made this one, and clearly I put the pins up, so I thought it was going to go in like this. But on the diagram on the website, on our page, it also shows you, but it's my mistake. But anyways, so we're going to go ahead and update this right now, and we're putting access on here. Okay. The idea is to see if it will work, because there has been there's this like ongoing argument about whether access will work on this radio. And instead of saying, hey, let me just tell you, I'm just going to show you guys, okay? And then we're going to try the other route, which is using the ACCST, but using the R9M 2019 module. Because unless you are buying from me, where I have about 400 of these left, the only ones that are usually available now are the 2019 edition. So now I've got, like I said, I've got about 400 of these R9M, the original ones, right, that would work on these radios, but do not run the Access software. You just, you don't worry about it. I mean, but they're much cheaper. But if you do get the 2019, you have to realize that the idea is that your radio has to be able to handle access, right? That's the most important issue. And this is where there's been this, like, I don't know why there's a discussion about it, because it's either on or off in this case. But we're going to go ahead and settle it here. I just need to wait for this to get done first, okay? This is a pretty impressive receiver, though. This is pretty neat. I mean, I think it's about time. I do like it. I do like the stability option for fixed wing. I think that's a great idea. So anyways, we'll see what happens here. Let's just get going. Now, if you have this radio, this module is not necessary, okay? So if you have an ACCST radio, you don't need this XJT module. This is only used for people that have access radios. Or a damaged internal, I guess, or what have you. Now somebody's going to hit me for that and say, no, you can use it, whatever. Okay, so now we have access loaded on both, okay? Now what we want to do is we want to try to bind it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring over my Toolkit RC. I'm going to plug in, I'm going to move these pins over, because on this side is S-Bus. So I'm going to move these pins over, just like the L9R that we just did. The pins are exactly the same. I'm just going to try to plug them in without having to do one at a time, but there we go, okay? And then I'm going to plug this in on the Toolkit RC. So I'm going to do signal, let's do positive, and let's do ground. And you should see this thing light up, and there it goes. And we're good to go. And it is not bound, right? There's nothing bound to it. So I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to get ready to put it in bind mode. Okay, so I'm going to hold your button down here. Turn it on. Okay. All right. Now, we are in our bind mode, trying to bind. Let me just do something here real quick. Bear with me 1 second. I'm going to turn this off again because I'm going to get my steps mixed up between Access and ACCST, so give me 1 second here to make sure that we get this part right for you. First, let me turn it back on and make sure where I'm at. Okay, that looks good. All right, now let me turn this on and let me make sure that we have everything set up the way we need to. Okay, so if you're using Access, right? So you're going to put it in regular status, so just by turning this on, okay? And now what you're going to do is you're going to go to your menu, and you're going to go to your model, all right? And let me make sure I've got everything set up here so I can give you links, okay? And you're going to now click your page, and you're going to go to your external, And we're going to turn it on, okay? And we're going to go to our R9M. Problem is we don't have an R9M access. We only have R9M, okay? So this is where the first problem is going to be right off the bat, okay? Now, if you try to bind, now I'll show you exactly what it is, okay? So let me turn this off. I'm going to try to do this so it doesn't mess with the access or the ACCST, okay? Now, because we don't have the option here, there's absolutely nothing we can do, okay? So even if I try to hold this down and put it into a binding mode, right? I can't bind. There's going to be no way for me to bind, okay? So that's it. It's simple. We do not have the option on this radio for R9M access, period, okay? It doesn't exist. So no matter what I do, I mean, it doesn't really matter. You're not going to see it. Nothing's going to happen, okay? So this settles it as far as it goes. This is settled. Even though you have an access receiver or module, you cannot run access on a radio that does not access support. So let's just clear that out now, and there's your test, okay? Now here's what we have to do. First thing we have to do, and this is just for you guys, this is a long video I know for just to show some few things. So we have to go to our firmware and we have to do the ACCST firmware on our access radio. So let's do that, okay? So we're gonna downgrade basically, and we're gonna go to the R9M ACCST version. We're gonna flash the external module. And at the same time, we're gonna go ahead and get ready to flash our receiver now, because this has access on it, but we need to put ACCST on it, all right? Now with access, you don't have to push the button to bind it. You will just register it. But with ACCST, we get this plugged in. Actually, I'll just do one at a time. This thing wants to put up a fight, and I don't want to fight with it today. Okay. I'll go ahead and get it ready. Put it on the outside. Then positive. And then do our S port. Okay. So we're going to get ready to bind this again, or not bind it. We're going to get ready to flash it again. And this time we're going to use the ACCST firmware on both. Okay. We gotta wait just 1 minute, just a little bit longer. Okay, we've now downgraded our R9M 2019 access module to ACCST. Okay, now we need to set the firmware up on here accordingly. Let's go ahead and hold down, press page, go to firmware, go to RX, and then you can see here, R9 stability, we have access and ACCST. We're going to go ACCST. Uh-oh. Did it not copy over? Uh-oh, hold on a second. Let me make sure. I guess I didn't copy that file over, so let me plug this in real quick and make sure I get the file. Bear with me 1 second. Let's go to storage mode. Let me see what I have here. Stability ACCST. Let me extract this. Sorry guys, I should have been on here, but it's not. Okay, so this is the ACCST version. I'm gonna copy, I'm just going to drop that into my firmware. RX, ACCST, and I'm just going to paste this here. As soon as it's done, I'll eject this and you'll be able to see it. Okay, so let's eject. And let me eject again. Okay, there. Now I'm going to go ahead and do it. Firmware, RX, CST, and there it is. And we're going to use the FCC. and we're going to flash the S port. And we should see this light up now. And there it goes. It's now writing it to ACCST firmware and not access. Okay, so let's give that a second. Hey, my kids are home. All right. Ooh, a lot of kids screaming. All right, everybody's having fun today. I'm gonna put this cable away. If you do need one of these cables, guys, like I said, you find them on our website. Go into receivers, and you should be good. Let me see. I think if the kids are gonna come in here, I'm gonna turn the video, pause it for a second, so I can say hi. Let me see. Hopefully we get this loaded real quick before they walk up to the door. You got about 5 seconds. Hurry up, hurry up. All right, I'm gonna pause this video real quick. Hold on. All right, guys, all right, we just finished the flashing. I was just saying hey to my kids. All right, so we're gonna click OK, and now we're gonna get out of this, and now we're gonna go ahead and plug this back into, I'm gonna turn this off just because I like to go through the same procedure each time. Turn it back on. Okay.
Welcome to OpenTX.
Now, I'm going to plug this in, ground, there we go. So we have our setup here, okay? But because we're using ACCST protocol, we do have to use the bind button, okay? So I'm going to hold this down and power it up. And now you can see we have a red and green light solid right here, okay? Now, let's go ahead and go to our model. And again, we're going to do our external R9M FC. And we should FCC, and we should see our red light here. Sorry, which means it's on. Okay, and this is model number. Sorry, I have to keep this right. This is model number 4. So let's do R4. So we're going to change this to 4. Okay, and we're going to go to bind, and we'll use, that's fine. We'll use telemetry on. And look at that. Sorry, I don't know if you can see that blinking that fast, but it is kind of. Darn, I wish you could see it. Okay, it is blinking. So just take my word for it. Now it's time to hit enter, exit, exit. Okay. And you can see we have some signal here, but like I said, this is too close. I'm going to turn this off now, okay? And I'm going to turn the radio off. Again, the radio off is a step that I do. You don't have to do it. I don't know the pros and cons. There have been some cases where I needed to do it. So let me turn the radio on, okay? Okay, and we're going to turn our receiver on. Okay, and we should see here, now this is really close, but look, you can see everything working perfect. Okay, we now have our stuff. And if you wanted to measure the controls, we can go to our S Plus on our Toolkit RC, and we should hopefully. Oh wait, I've got to move this over now. Sorry. So let me go ahead and turn this over. Got to replug it because I had it in flashing setup. There.
RF signal low.
No, it'll come back. Give it a second. There you go. Okay, now that we've got it plugged into the proper ports, watch. We've got all our signals properly done. Okay. So now you can just go and configure everything properly how you want. There you go, okay. And then you just need to set your mins and maxes and all your stuff, all right? So guys, that's it. So we've got, this does work perfectly. The 2019 will work, but on a radio that's not running access, you cannot run the access protocol, okay? So no more arguing about, yes you can, or no you can't, you can't. You also do not need this module, all right? Only need this, well, I don't say only. People who have this radio, the ACCST versions, don't need to run these unless their internal module is damaged somehow, all right? On the access radio, you want this because if you want to run D8, okay? And that's it. The R9M is the original, and you can run that on here as well, or you can downgrade the R9M 2019 if that's the only one that's available. That becomes an issue more of pricing, I would say, than anything else. And that's it. So now you can see that you need to downgrade everything to ACCST. If your radio is ACCST, you'll match it. I believe there's only one exception to that, and that may be the X Lite or the X Lite S and Pro. But I'll have to check on those. anyways, hope that helps, guys. Okay, so that was kind of a long video, and I know, and it's a series of them. This is for the customer. Everything's good to go on this thing now. Everything is bound. He's got 3 different models. All of them are working perfect, and we're done. Okay. If you have any questions, please, as always, go to our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Cyclone FPV, and you can post questions there. You can also please follow us on Facebook, and as always, I'm asking, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm going to keep putting out a ton of videos, and we have seen an uptick in them. We're also putting a learning module together for our education side, and we're actually going to give our customers access to that as well. It's really awesome. It starts from the beginning of drones, everything from building to programming and so forth, and we're doing that as part of our new curriculum. All right, guys, other than that, it is a beautiful day today, so please go spend time with your family. Make the most of it. You never know how much time you have left, please. Okay, you can always fly later. Talk to you all later. God bless.